Let's look now at the heart of abusive and servant leadership. Abusive leaders are not called so because they beat the people or yell at them or call them names. Servant leaders are not called so because they serve their followers breakfast in bed every morning. In spite of popular misconceptions, servant leadership does not mean that the leader adopts the literal role of the servant. This distinction is clear from Jesus' life and ministry. Jesus slept in the boat while the others rowed. Jesus broke the bread and the disciples did the work of distributing it to the multitudes. Jesus sent Peter fishing for the tax money. The disciples prepared for the Passover. On and on throughout the Gospels, Jesus did not adopt the literal role of the servant. In addition, when Jesus washed his disciples' feet in John 13, it was clearly an exceptional, unprecedented event. Remember how shocked they all were. So, while the healthy leader will not be too proud to serve in literal, practical ways, yet that is not the heart of servant leadership. Well, what then is the meaning of servant leadership? The essence of servant leadership is seeking what is best for the followers in the purposes of God and not oneself. We'll see this now in many biblical passages. Mark 10, the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and here it is, to give his life as a ransom for many. Jesus served us by giving his life for us. Paul wrote, I try to please everyone in everything I do, not seeking my own advantage, but that of many, that they may be saved. 1 Corinthians 10. But Paul was not seeking his own benefit, but the benefit of those that he served. 2 Corinthians 4. For what we proclaim is not ourselves, but Jesus Christ as Lord, with ourselves as your servants for Jesus' sake. Paul was not promoting himself. Again, Paul says, I will not be a burden to you, for I seek not what is yours, but you. For children are not obligated to save up for the parents, but parents for their children. And so I will most gladly spend and be spent for your souls, 2 Corinthians 12, for your benefit. And he said elsewhere, even if I am to be poured out as a drink offering upon the sacrificial offering of your faith, I am glad and rejoice with you all, Philippians 2. And to the Thessalonians, Paul wrote, for now we live if you are standing fast in the Lord. As we've just seen, the essence of servant leadership is seeking what is best for the followers in the purposes of God and not oneself. In contrast, the essence of abusiveness in leadership is using the followers for the leader's own benefit. We'll see this now in other biblical passages from the Old Testament. In Micah 3, Jerusalem's heads, the leaders, give judgment for a bribe. Its priests teach for a price. Its prophets practice divination for money. You see, they were all in it for themselves. And when speaking about the false teachers, Paul says, for such persons do not serve our Lord Jesus, but their own appetites. And by smooth talk and flattery, they deceive the hearts of the naive. Romans 16:18. To the Philippians, Paul speaks about the false teachers again, and he says, the former proclaim Christ out of selfish ambition. You see the essence of it here, not sincerely. And in talking about Timothy to the Philippians, he says, I have no one like him who will be genuinely concerned for your welfare, for they all seek their own interests, not those of Jesus Christ. You see the contrast there. And Peter also mentions the false teachers and false leaders. In their greed, they will exploit you with false words. Consequently, an abusive leader may actually be quite nice toward the people, but just be manipulating them and using them for his own agenda. And the servant leader may at times be quite tough on the people, but he's leading them in the way that is actually in their best interests. Who would you rather follow? A leader who has a big vision and who flatters you, but who you sense is only interested in you if you are committed to him, and who is only using you for his own purposes? Or would you rather serve a leader who is genuinely committed to your best interests? And which would you rather be as a leader? A big talking but fundamentally weak, self-centered leader? Or a genuinely strong servant leader? May God help you to be a true servant leader.